Did you know that we get to use only about 1% of Earth's water? Only about 3% of Earth's water is fresh water. The rest, 97%, is salt water. Yeah, and we get most of our fresh water from icebergs, shallow groundwater, lakes, rivers, and precipitation. Wow. You know, all these living things on Earth depend on so little. That's so cool how everyone depends on that little 3%. And now a commercial break. Now, ever wonder what happened to water when it hits the ground? Well, my friend, you've come to the right place. When water hits the ground, it runs off the ground surface, but some of it soaks into the ground, becoming, well, you've guessed it, groundwater. Wait, I'm lost. What's groundwater? Groundwater is water that flows into a body of water, and finally, some of that water gets evaporated. So it's pretty much it rains, some water gets soaked in, some gets evaporated, and then it rains again? Yeah, exactly.
Are we way too loud out there?
No.
You guys okay?
I know that we have a lot of water in us and everywhere, but is there ever any new water on Earth? Well, water is constantly recycled, meaning that the water in us now could be from dinosaurs' pee. Ew! Well, technically it's not pee anymore. It's been purified by Earth. Oh, good, I was gonna say. So, really, we are all touched by something ancient. If our water we're drinking now is 4 billion years old, we're practically that old too. Yep, exactly. Now for a commercial break. And we're back. Well, I know something. We already know what groundwater is, but you haven't gone over permeable layers, impermeable layers, porous space, zone of variation, and zone of saturation. Well, what is it? I know permeable layers means that water can pass through, or any kind of liquid for that matter. And impermeable layers means that water or liquid can't pass through, like a bucket. Unless it's cracked, water won't leak through it. Pore space is the opening in material, and zone of variation means that the pore space is still empty or is filled with air. But the zone of saturation means pore space is 100% full of water. Which brings me to the water table. That is where the zone of aeration and saturation meet. Okay, the chemical formula for water is H2O. There are 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. Water is also polar, meaning it has a positive side and a negative side. Water is also attracted to anything else that is polar. Polar dissolves polar, and polar can't dissolve nonpolar. So the good news is water can dissolve almost anything. But the bad news is that water is so good at dissolving things, it is easily polluted. It is known as a universal solvent. Solvent meaning it dissolves things, which will bring us to our next topic, groundwater pollution. Groundwater is anything stored underground, like septic tanks, landfills, gas stations, nuclear waste, large farms. You get the point. All of those I just mentioned can pollute the water. If septic tanks aren't properly taken care of and they erode, it may get into well water. Large farms, when they use pesticides improperly, it may soak into the ground, contaminating the groundwater. That's not the only way water gets polluted, but also surface water. Lakes, streams, and rivers, like things like urban runoff, fertilizers, thermal pollution or heat, water traffic, and factories pollute too. Wow, we should probably be more careful with our water. Yes, but did you know that bottled water isn't safer or better tasting than tap or well water? But how can that be? Oh, I know this, bottled water doesn't get checked a lot by the FDA, and they do not purify it. So, if a whole thing of bacteria got into the water, they wouldn't even know. Yeah, and if it tastes better, it's just a mind over matter thing. Some bottled water companies just use normal tap water. Wow, well, it looks like we need to be way more wise with our decisions with our water. I always say a smart person can fix a problem, a wise person can avoid it. That's so true, and I guess that wraps up our show.
Bye! Be safe with your water! Woo!